The force is strong with this one. This story involves a man named Andrew Ainsworth, who was the industrial designer who designed the original molds for the Stormtroopers uniforms and helmets for the Star Wars movie A New Hope. He was sued by George Lucas Films for producing and selling these items both here in the UK. We're going to look specifically at the UK portion where he actually won his case. Now, Lucas argued that the masks and the molds were artistic design, artistic works, that they were sculpture, as an example, under the Copyrights and Designs and Patents Act of 1988, which is the current law in the UK for copyrights and the like. Specifically, under Section 52, it would have given a 25-year period from when the items were first marketed. If you look at subsection 2, that's highlighted there. Ainsworth argued that the molds were actually utilitarian and the uniforms were actually utilitarian, as in a tool, not artistic work, and therefore wouldn't fall under the Section 52 of the Copyrights, Designs, and Patent Act, but instead would default to the old act that was in place before then, the Copyright Act of 1956. And if you look at subsection 3, A and B, it discusses there where there's a 15-year time frame. If you look at subsection B specifically, it would have said that because it's not an artistic work, it falls outside of that 15-year time frame and therefore could be sold. In 1976, Ainsworth was an industrial designer in Twickenham, a suburb of London. George Lucas was making a low-budget space opera. And as a side note, Twickenham is the home of English rugby. Here's a picture of their stadium. Lucas needed someone to mold the uniforms for his space warriors called Stormtroopers. Everyone remembers the classic uniform. Ainsworth said that once he had a design prepared, Lucas said, "Great, I need about 50 more in about 6 weeks." Ainsworth made the mold and forgot about it. Fast forward 30 years, we have Star Wars. Ainsworth is not really making a whole lot of money off of it, and then he remembered that he had the mold when he had to pay for some of his children's school fees. So back in 2004, Ainsworth pulled out the old molds and started selling the helmets and the full suits of armor. For the helmets were about 500 pounds, and for the full suits of armor, about 1,000 pounds. At the time of the article, that would have gotten him about $700 and $1,600, but today it's only about $600 and $1,300 thanks to Brexit. Ainsworth sold about 19 of the helmets and was served with a cease and desist letter from Lucasfilms telling him to stop selling. Ainsworth at first thought that it was a joke and didn't take it seriously until the bailiff showed up to his house and served him with a $20 million lawsuit. This became a true David and Goliath story. All the legal advice that Ainsworth got said that deep pockets always wins, leave it alone, but Ainsworth said he had no choice but to defend himself against the lawsuit. And there you have it. He went to the courts in the UK and also in the United States. He lost in the United States, but he won at the UK highest court. And his argument was that under Section 52, the mold was an industrial design and that it should not even be under Section 52. And here you have Section 52. This is the new version. We're going to get back to that in a minute. Lucas argued that it did fall under Section 52 and was a creative piece of work. In 2011, Ainsworth won his case in the court. You disagreed. So we know that Mr. Ainsworth did not win in the United States. That's the most lucrative market, unfortunately for him. But he did still win, and he's able to sell his masks and the full suits of armor in any case. Mr. Ainsworth has not told anyone how much it cost him. He did not get costs at the highest level of the UK, so he is bearing the brunt of all those costs. It's somewhere in the millions, but he's never said how much. So what's been going on with the Star Wars decision since 2011? Let's fast forward now to July of this year. Section 52 was actually repealed. Therefore, now, in light of the Star Wars decision, Section 52 was repealed, and the entire definition of what is artistic work versus our industrial design has been completely redefined in the UK. The repeal should not affect Mr. Ainsworth because the trooper masks are outside of 52 according to the United States, sorry, the UK Supreme Court. And things that we're looking at now are things like furniture, things like sculptures. These are the things that will be affected by this repeal, and what's going to be happening between now and 2017, we don't know. But just like here's a picture of Mr. Ainsworth with the Death Star, sorry, the pilot mask for the Empire that he also designed. He also did work for the Aliens movies and for the Flash movies that came a little bit later. But just like Luke's 1 in a million shot into the Death Star, Mr. Ainsworth's 1 in a million shot won against that juggernaut, Lucasfilms, and he's able to now sell his designs in the UK and other places other than the United States.